Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aegis Marauders League, Week 2 of the qualifiers, Week 9 of this Winter 2023 split. My name is Moose, and I'm joined today by Tiger. Tiger, how you doing today?
I'm doing well and excited for some more AML action, always giving us some of the best matches that we can hope to be seeing. And
Yeah.
today, I believe that we're going back into the Swiss bracket of the qualifiers. So this is kind of near that elimination stage. It actually is an elimination game because both of these teams are coming from the 0 and 1 section, so need a win here and a win next week to qualify, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if there's going to be good results. Someone's got to win anyways, so I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams have to offer.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head there. Six teams at the moment currently is at that 0 and 1 state after the first week of qualifiers. Pardon me, I don't know how to do math. It is 8 teams. 8 teams that are currently 0 and 1 before that point, and Northeastern University and License to Kill are two of those teams. In order to make it into the playoffs, you have to be able to win 2 games so that you can get into the qualifiers. If you lose 2 of those games, you are out. So for both of these teams, they are technically fighting for their tournament lives here. Every single game could be the difference between winning and losing. So, or winning and potentially getting out of the tournament now and not even having a chance to make it into playoffs. So a lot riding on this game for both of these teams. And you know, with the added pressure that comes into this, you were telling me that I believe it's Northeastern that has made, I'm sorry, License to Kill has made some very last minute substitutions to their roster. Do you think that that's going to play a part in today's match?
Well, it most certainly will have some level of impact. From what I'm hearing from James Bond Meow, things are going well in the scrims. There's some good synergy between the new mid and support and the rest of the team. But obviously, having more experience together brings some intangibles to the game. And also, when you're looking at the draft, you have to consider that the players are different than who you've been playing with before. So License to Kill maybe going to look a little bit different than we saw in week, was it 3 or 4 that we casted them
Week
before?
3.
When we previously saw them, it's going to look a little bit different than that, but I think that they're going to still hold true to their core principles that we saw before.
Yeah, and I mean, and so that's going to be, I think, a factor, like you said, going into that one. How are we going to be seeing the response here from Northeastern in terms of maybe finding ways to show that they do have a little bit more synergy because the team has been around a little bit more and they've had a little bit more time to get things established on their end. It is a double-edged sword when you are putting in substitutions this late into the game, but at the end of the day, it is the decision to go for it, and it could potentially work out in your favor if the scrims are going as well as you were talking about. If the communication is there, you just might be able to mesh so quickly, and that might just be the opportunity for you to start taking wins. On paper, looking at both of these teams, Northeastern University with a slight edge in terms of objective control. 43% on the Dragon take, 58% on the Rift Herald take. That's the biggest diff. 16% difference in favor of objective control there on the Rift Herald for Northeastern, which tells me a lot about their top and jungle level play, being able to make sure that they can get more Rift Heralds than not. The biggest question that we got from both of these teams now is whether or not they're going to be able to keep their KDAs in line. Lot of deaths on both of these teams moving into this turn or into this game. A lot of times where we're going to be seeing some of these players have less than a 1 KDA on their champion by the time that we get things started. So I'm curious to see, with both of these teams being somewhat similar in that regard, how bloody this game could potentially become.
Definitely going to keep an eye out for that, potentially having some early fighting going on. Interesting to hear that there's such a low objective control, particularly around Drake for both of these teams. If it's going to be a situation where they want to be fighting a lot, that's not usually something that's going to lead to a lot of success. Just fighting over nothing generally isn't what you want to do in organized play. Although, I mean, if you can get gold advantages, any way you can do that is helpful. But you really want to be able to get objectives so you can make the most out of those kills. So, with the way that both of these teams are playing, then I'd like to see one of the teams really show a little bit of an adaptation, show an understanding coming in that if they can just play a little bit more tempered, play a little bit more cohesively as a unit, and make sure that when they are getting into fights, they can get the most out of the back end of the play, then that could really make the difference in this series.
For sure. That's a good assessment there. I like the way that you thought about that, especially in the in terms of the early game. I love that kind of analysis there coming from you, Tiger. And it's going to be fun. I'm super excited to see both of these teams fight for their tournament lives here in this game. Of course, this is not the only tournament life game that is on the line. Stacked Deck versus Akuma Blades, and I do believe Pride Stalker Esports versus University of Minnesota JV are both as well looking to be able to fight for their tournament lives here. So a lot of teams looking to be able to stay alive in the qualifiers and move on to the playoffs. On the other end of things, as we look into the week nine top four seeds qualifier matchup, it's going to be Sad Boys versus Iceborne Reboot, and then Indigo versus Team Ambition Distortion. TA Distortion falling to Iceborne Reboot 2-0. Sad Boys taking the 2-0 against Indigo. So after today, there is going to be a team inside the roster that is 2-0, and there's going to be a team that's going to be 0-2 in those top four. And so really exciting to see how that is going to be played out. Any predictions between Sad Boys and Iceborne Reboots? We saw Sad Boys last week. We saw Iceborne Reboot in week one. Any prediction on who you think is going to be able to take that win?
Well, Sad Boys have looked really strong, and I haven't gotten the best read on Iceborne Reboot. We only got to see them once. I know that they're a good team as well. That's probably going to be the 1-2 seeds, I'd imagine. But I guess that just from having seen more of them and more recently, I was impressed with how Sad Boys played last week, particularly the second game where they were able to kind of run away with it. So I think that I'd give them the slight edge, but I don't have like a super high degree of confidence in that or anything like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And considering how close all of these games have been this entire league, it's not easy to say, hey, this team is going to be a clear favorite going into this battle and going into whatever match or tournament game that we're going to be getting into. But with that being said, we are getting confirmation from the production side of things. Shout out to Wookie Monster, our producer, for making things smooth on the back end of things, as well as the admin, Duan, letting us know that there is some technical errors that are coming in at the moment, and we are at a little bit of a delay to start this first round. We're going to take a break to get this figured out, and we'll come back with an update here fairly soon to get into game one. License to Kill versus Northeastern University coming up. We'll be right back.
Fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aegis Marauders League. We are back with a bit of a sad situation, but still some good news. We are still playing here this game between License to Kill and Northeastern University. Unfortunately, for License to Kill, one of their players, unfortunately, having their computer like completely crash, unable to play, having to find an e-sub, and looking to be able to now move forward with a very last minute substitution here to be able to continue playing. Definitely not when you want to see in a match that you're fighting for your life, Tiger, but doesn't mean that they're out of it. So I'm very excited to now see, LTK potentially show us what they can do, even with this handicap.
I can't believe that they didn't want to bring you in as the E-sub Moose. I heard great things about your Wukong, but
Yes,
uh, I,
I'm a little
I
salty
have
about
to
that.
respect that. Going instead with probably a higher ranked player, understandably so. And that means that we get to have you on the cast, so it all works out in the end.
I suppose, Tiger. But yes, like you said, we are going to be getting an emergency sub for LTK in the form of Jason Sarius. That is going to come in looking at his OP.GG. Does look like we're seeing a lot of Kane, some Karthus, a lot of Karthus jungle coming through, a lot of Kane jungle recently, a little bit of Rammus, a little bit of Zac. So definitely some not, high meta picks right now, but still picks nonetheless. And we are now ready to get into the draft. Let's jump right in. Northeastern going to be taking out that Rakan in the support role. LTK taking a little bit of time, understandably, to decide how they want to play this ban phase out. They might have lost bans as well. I do believe that they did, due to the amount of time that they had to get these subs in. So definitely going to be a tough game one for them, as now they're going to have to worry about that being an issue as well. LeBlanc getting hovered here for Northeastern is going to be taken out.
Well, at this point, with all the adversity that License to Kill has had, if they win, they surely deserve to advance. So I'm looking forward to that for them, but I definitely think Northeastern University, with their stability, is going to be now favored coming in. Going to be on the blue side as well. I've always been a red side enjoyer, but right now I
Yes, you
know that
have.
there's a lot of people favoring blue side, so I think they'll probably be happy with that. Particularly when there's no bans on red side, that's when it hurts the most, because that means that you have to give up first pick after also giving up last ban. So if the third ban is also a required no ban here for License to Kill, that's the one that really hurts.
Yeah, agreed there, because it opens up the world for NAU to decide how they want to play out not only the draft but also the game. Looks like they are going to get one ban, so Zillion is going to get taken away. NAU now with the opportunity to be able to pick up something in the bottom lane. I assume we're going to be seeing, or we could potentially see that jungle pick coming up with the Zaya still available, the Sejuani still available, Zac, Wukong. Annie's going to be hovered here. This would be a very early Annie, but something that could be flexible into the support role or into the mid lane. It wouldn't necessarily mean that NEU is going to get that blue side advantage in terms of first pick, because I don't know if Annie is, first pick, first ban type deal. Definitely in high level, but not like, or definitely, high pick, high ban priority, but not first pick priority, I don't think.
Well, it's one of those picks that doesn't have a lot of different answers to it. And he's just generally a pretty well-rounded champion, good into a lot of situations. So I can see, like, if Northeastern think that Moo can't play like long range poke mages, like something like a Xerath, a Ziggs. Those are the type of matchups that Annie really struggles into. But if you are expecting that the enemy mid laner can't play those, then you can pretty easily just blind Annie and say, all right, what are you going to do about it? And there's not much that they can do about it if they don't have the well-rounded champion pool that's necessary to deal with all types of situations.
Now, in response to that, LTK is going to pick up their jungle. That's going to be that Zac. It is going to be a remake of the draft, unfortunately. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but we are going to be remaking the draft. Unfortunately, it looks like this is a technical issue day here on the cast, Tiger. So I assume that the bans of the picks are going to remain the same. With Zac being the pickup here in R1, I am interested to seeing now what they're going to be able to respond with it. What are the conventional, not symmetry, but the quintessential complementary picks to Zac that you expect LTK to now go for?
Stylistically, Zac is either a dive champion or a engage champion. So there's a lot that you can do with him, but you really want to have picks that can definitely go for all ins. You want things that have good gank setup. You want things that are going to be able to juggle the aggro with him on a dive potentially, or else you want to have like the number one pick to go with Zac that comes to my mind is Jinx, because when you have that type of being able to hard engage onto a target like that, then getting the first kill is generally pretty easy to do. So I think that if you can get in a situation where you get a Zac gank towards the bot lane, you get the Jinx fed early on, then that's something that's really good in a lot of spots. And I think that right now picking an ADC pretty early on in the draft is fine, and that the support matchup matters more than the carry matchup. So any type of scaling pick, Xayah, Zeri, those are things that are generally going to come early on in the draft. So picking up the Jinx now seems fine to me.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Not to make your life a little bit more harder, Tiger. Not to make what your points were, mute, because I don't know exactly what LTK is going to be going for. That it is unfortunately going to be a complete reset of there were a couple of errors that were going into it, and now because of that there are actually errors with the bans that were picked. So unfortunately it is going to be basically a completely different draft coming through here. We'll have to see what NAU decides to go for now, and we are now ready to jump into it. Looks like they are going to stick with the same opportunity. They're going to be making sure that the Rakan is going to get banned out, the Zillion's going to get picked out. So maybe it is actually the same ban. It is. Okay. Pardon me. Pardon my miscommunication. Everything that you said makes sense, Tiger. In this game, definitely makes sense as well. Zac is going to be covered here. Zac is going to potentially get picked up. I assume, unless LTK decides to go for something different here, they might have the opportunity to go for it, or they might have just be taking this time to think of what their R2 is going to be.
Yeah, they can always do that. They might be listening in on the broadcast here. They're showing that they at least have some similar ideas to me. But I think that if this was a situation where they were going to do a complete redraft and they just ended up drafting the same way because that was what their preparation was, then that speaks well of how these teams are preparing for game number one coming into the series.
Sure.
So I think that's a good look. And also calling back to the fact that LTK have subbed in Jason Arias here, picking up a jungle champion that's got a lot of straightforward ideas like Zac is something that's really nice to see. I think that Zac is one of the strongest picks in the meta right now as well, so makes a lot of sense to see that one coming in. And maybe that mitigates some of the weaknesses that you expect to see when you have to last second E-sub a jungler in.
Right. Yeah, and I think that does bring up a really, a decent a good question here in terms of, how does LTK play their draft? Do you pick something that can be a little bit more complex, or do you go for something that's a little bit more rudimentary? Now, a rudimentary composition, something that, doesn't have to deal with a lot of moving pieces, something that's very straightforward. There's not going to be a lot of shenanigans that are going to be there in the draft. can still work out very well. You have the opportunity to, execute upon that plan very effectively. You've probably seen this draft, or you've probably seen what each one of these champions are trying to do in your solo queue ranked games. So it does make things a little bit easier there for LTK just in general. NEU, however, they're going to be going for a more stylized composition. The Zeri, the Annie, the Vi coming out as well. The Vi's a bit of an interesting pick. I definitely don't mind it. I think, like Zach, it is one of the higher tiered junglers at the moment, but we don't normally see it going up against the Jinx, right? It's usually paired up against like the Zeri, for example. It's usually it's going against that champion. So, what do you think of the Vi? How is it going to be paired up with the Zeri here as the Lulu gets covered in? It's going to be a very, very engage heavy composition coming in from NEU.
Yeah, I like the Vi as a response to the Jinx here because License to Kill, what they're going to be playing around this game is Polaris. You lock in the Jinx, you don't do that just as like a secondary damage dealer. You're going to center your whole comp around the Jinx at that point.
Fair.
So with the option to go for all in and already having the Annie as well, they're going to be looking to get immediate CC onto the Jinx. They're going to be trying to go for the one shot before any resets can come through. The Lulu is a fine response to that. I would have liked Morgana a little bit better here, but I think that Lulu's got the same type of defensive themes that make her a good follow-up to the Jinx. Make sure that you're going to be having some level of safety there. And I also like the Camille, but it has to be played well. So Duckwind going to be keeping an eye on his performance here because what you normally want to do as a Camille player, if you're in solo queue, if you're trying to 1v9 the game, you're going to dive onto the back line every time. But in this instance, as the Camille, your job isn't to dive the back line. You're not the main carry of your team. You've got a Jinx. So I want to see Duckwin be utilizing that Hextech ultimatum to keep NEU off of the back line. Particularly if you can drop it onto Taubenzite's Vi, then that's going to give you an opportunity to keep that space, keep your back line safe. So I think that that's something that could be a big difference maker at the beginning of fights. And if License to Kill can execute properly on that, I really like what they've done with the draft.
A little bit of misdirection coming in from NEU as well. The Annie is going to be going into the support role with the Zeri in the bottom lane. Vigar is going to be coming out in the mid lane along with that Gwen that's going to go into the top lane here. So NAU's composition doesn't have a lot of that early game power that a lot of other compositions might possess. But when you look at the mid game or into the late game, or if your champions can get snowballed, NEU is going to have tons of damage with that needlework. It's going to have tons of damage with that primordial burst and a lot of sustained DPS with that Zeri. So NEU looking to build up a composition that can either, just start the snowball early on or get to 30, 35 minutes and then just take the game away from LTK.
I think that with the way that this draft has rounded out, that the best way that it could be played for Northeastern is if they kind of look for some split push opportunity for ultimate cars here on the Gwen, and then use the rest of the team as a disengage comp. Actually, they did put some opportunities for themselves to find picks, and that's something that you'll definitely see. This is a very high level of League of Legends, but it's not the highest level. Mistakes happen here. And I mean, mistakes happen even in pro, but
yeah,
mistakes happen more often here. And you were talking in the earlier segment about how these teams have a lot of deaths. So I think that there's going to be chances to utilize this Vi as an offensive tool. But with the Veigar, with the Zeri and Annie, you can utilize a lot of their tools defensively as well as offensively. And if you're up against a Jinx, you want to avoid giving up that first kill. So if you're going to be able to force out License to Kill's engage tools, force out the Zac ultimate, force out the Vex ultimate, force out the Camille ultimate before you end up in the full fight, if you can disengage from that play and be not too much worse for the wear, then things become a lot more favorable for you. And that's where the Vagar comes in, because you can just throw down the cage. There's nothing Jinx can really do about it here. Like, if you get stuck in the cage and you don't have flash, how are you getting out? There's just not going to be a lot of good options, because if you walk into it, you're going to get chain CC'd. And if you just kite back out of it, then they are free to walk away. So that's what I want to see from Northeastern University. Try to bait out those big abilities and then back away, reset the fight, and then use your offensive tools.
And when you look at LTK as well, you know, you're looking at NAU like you were talking about, with a lot of offensive and defensive utility on this composition. You have the point and click CC from Assault and Battery. You have the conditional CC coming in from Vygar with that Event Horizon, as well as Tibbers with the Annie. Annie maybe not be dealing as much damage as if it was going into the mid lane, but it's still going to be able to provide that insane amount of CC. And you do get an extra body on the Rift as well with Tibbers. It's not the easiest thing to kill, and if I'm looking at LTK's composition, really the only way that you're going to be able to get Tibbers down relatively easily is if your Jinx is fighting against it, and if the Jinx is fighting up against Tibbers, you've got more problems than just that. So I think for LTK now, like you were talking about, it is going to be that opportunity to be able to go in for that split push. It is also the chance for them to find those picks in these team fights. Hextech Ultimatum, Shadow Surge, Wild Growth, a lot of opportunities to be able to get someone immediately bursted out of the fight. Either the death, or at least to take out a flash or a couple of other summoner spells in exchange for you trying to be able to get that pick. So a lot of opportunity for LTK to make that happen here. And this is a very executable composition. It does take a little bit of coordination, I would say, especially with the Camille and the Lulu. You want to be able to make sure that you get that layered CC with Hextech Ultimatum and then the Wild Growth knockup. But overall, though, I think that LTK is going to have the opportunity to be able to show us some good fundamental League of Legends here. And it's going to be an exciting game one with both of these teams fighting for their tournament lives. Before we take it to that break, Tiger, what do you think the Dragon Soul and Rift is going to be here in this first game, considering that both of us fell short in week one's Dragon picks?
All right. Well, this time I'm gonna go default back to I see 4 Zonite champions, so probably gotta be the Chemtech Rift, right?
Love that. Love that. That's a great way to think about it. I'm gonna go with the first one that came into my head was Infernal, so I'm gonna go with Infernal here in game one. Let's see if either one of us are correct here. Chat, thank you guys so much for your patience. Well, we got our technical difficulties figured out. Very glad that we were still able to cast a game for you today. But also, please be advised that this is not the only Aegis Marauders League game that is being casted tonight. There are a couple of other games that are going in. Team Ambition, I believe, is casting Distortion tonight. A couple of other teams also casting their games. So definitely check them out while we're on breaks or we're not casting at the moment. We appreciate your guys' continued support with the Aegis community, who just continues to get better and better as the days go by. We're going to take that quick break. When we return, we're going to be jumping into game one between Northeastern University and License to Kill. We'll be right back.
Like a bomb squad.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Marauders League. Week 9 of competitive League of Legends action here in the AML with Northeastern University and License to Kill. One of these teams is going to be fighting their last series of this tournament. Every game and every moment is going to count from here on out. Northeastern University definitely with the advantage here, with a more stable team. Unfortunately, with LTK, with those emergency subs, is going to have a bit of a challenge moving into this first game.
Well, I definitely think that LTK's got a draft that they can win on here. I think that there's win conditions for both sides. It's not like a super hard one draft or anything. But I do like what License to Kill have, and particularly if they can get some good ganks off early on, they could be in a really good spot. Now, my eyes in the early game are really going to be on Tau Benzite here for Northeastern. Going to be playing the Vi. Going to be interesting to see if there's any ganks coming out early on or invasions. I think that Vi should be able to beat Zach in early 1v1s. So there could be opportunity for invade if there's push in the lanes, if there's going to be a roam timer that you know that you can get from one of your solo laners, particularly maybe jump into the enemy jungle, maybe on the second time through you steal the Raptors, something like that would be pretty helpful. Getting ahead on CS anyways is going to be something that could be a really good option, but with Vi being able to gank as well, that's like a whole range of options that are available to Northeastern, but they've got to find some value there to make up for the fact that I'm completely expecting there to be some gank pressure coming out from Jason Arias.
Now, I want to bring your attention over to Intruder here, playing on this Veigar, playing I would say a relatively unconventional build, going for the Unsealed Spellbook along with getting that Hourglass. There is a conversation about whether or not you want to be going for the Hourglass here or even pick up the Zonias at all because of, you know, how unsafe Veigar just is in general. If you're going to have to go Golden, more likely than not, you're going to die anyways. But what value do you think we're going to be seeing out of this unsealed Spellbook as we get into this game?
I definitely think that's the right direction to go on Veigar here, because this isn't the time where you're trying to use your E to find picks. You've got plenty of engage from the rest of your team. But what really could upset the apple cart for your team, make your team fight go really poorly, is dying early on. So with the ability to stall 2.5 seconds, that could just be enough for the rest of the team to get the damage necessary out to prevent, you know, there's two reset champions here. It's not just the Jinx, it's actually also the Vex. So if you can delay the kills coming through from either of them, then that's going to really improve the situation for the team. I like the direction here. I think that there's some good spells that you can take if you've got either a option on cooldown. You could go Ghost if you're trying to get aggressive, but you also could go something like Barry or Heal to help with the defensive utility for the team.
Going to be Taubenzite being able to get the first back. Relatively fast clear for the Vi, comparatively to Sanaris here. Not able to get the first Scuttle Crab on the bottom side of the rift, sees that it was taken, and immediately Elastic Slingshots over to the one on the top side, trying to be able to even that one out. We'll have a little bit more gold and might actually be able to clear the top side of the rift, but we're going to see if he's going to be able to get it. Almost loses it, and up at Taubenzite is going to be here, going to be able to almost kill Jason Arias. And that was very close.
Yeah, almost able to finish off the job there. I wanted to see if it was possible for Taubenzite to go in without landing the Vault Breaker, because if you can hold that, then you can interrupt the Elastic Slingshot. That might have been able to lead towards a kill, but probably would have to flash to get in range to start that combo out, so not sure that would have worked out. But either way, we can see that the early fighting advantage goes over to the Vi. But that said, doesn't yield anything because no summoner spells had to be burnt off of that. The Scuttle Crab had already gone over to Jason Arias. So we'll see if that ends up becoming a theme here where the play's just a little bit too late.
Oh, and Cars is going to be caught out of position. The Elastic Slingshot lands, and first blood gonna go to Duckwind here. Nicely done coming in from the Zach, and a good play to start things off for LTK.
I like the response here, immediately going straight towards that dragon. Bot lane prio for Northeastern, but good start there, good proactivity from License to Kill, and maybe a little unexpected because of how low that Jason Arias got in the fight with Taubenzite.
Yeah, came back with a Balmy Cinder. Now backing again, picking up a Dark Seal along with that Vision Ward, or Control Ward, pardon me, I'm a boomer. She Belong having to flash down there against Love You More and Polaris after what was essentially just a 2v2. Polaris getting the ante extremely low. Other than that, though, it's been a relatively stable game for both teams. NEU going to be able to pick up the first dragon, the reward for the earlier clears coming in from Taubenzite. First blood, however, as going over to your Camille, definitely a good start for the top side of the rift and being able to get that split pushing pressure going.
Really excited for the first Rift Herald because I think that both sides could end up going towards it. Definitely something that LTK should be looking for here, but I know that Northeastern want to play aggressively as well early on. We'll have to see if there's going to be roams coming up from the supports as the ultimate's starting to come out top.
Yeah, Car's gonna come in, and Duckwind actually commits to the Hextech Ultimatum, is gonna be forced to flash away. Cenarius is now here, getting the Elastic Slingshot. Duckwind was extremely low. Gwen is immune, though. Ultimate Cars will be able to get out of that one, but no flash for your Camille.
It'll be difficult to interact here. Ghost was burnt by Ultimate Cars trying to escape from the earlier gank, so now it's both sides with no summoner spells in the top lane, and that spells that we could have some fights coming out here. Both junglers going to be wanting to find some agency towards that area. Level 6 now for Tau Benzite, so Jason Arias going to have to be a little bit respectful there. Not going to be able to get too much on the invade. We do see a little bit of an early CSing advantage here for Tau Benzite, but I think that it's just about even overall.
She belongs so low, and love you more. Gonna be able to pick up first blood down there in the bottom lane. That was 3 ultimates or 3 summoner spells to take it, but man, the damage onto this Annie was insane. And now a response on the top side. Tau Benzite with the cease and desist. Gonna be able to pick up the first kill for NEU. Top lane going to be now in favor of the blue side.
Didn't really see what happened there in the bot lane that made it for License to Kill being able to pick up that kill. But apparently they just had a license for it, so I guess that makes sense. But Tau Benzite going to be able to punish the overstay from Duckwind. We saw the earlier trade. Duckwind still staying in lane there, ends up getting killed for it, and that means Rift Herald also going to go over. We talked about how we expected a lot of early fighting going on between these two teams, but it's been a lot more methodical than I'd expected, and we're kind of seeing what I had hoped in the original intro that I talked about, where both of these teams kind of playing around objectives, not just going for random fights. You know, you got some kills in lanes, there's some ganks, some 2v2 kill action happening, but not a lot of random getting caught out just yet, although that could end up happening later on in the game, and I could end up eating my words on that one yet.
Well, we'll get to see fairly soon. As Love You More, the Lulu, going to be able to find the Vision Ward that was peeking out of that Tri-Brush. Knowing that there is no Vision there, I think, smart move coming in from both the Annie and the Zeri, Eshin and Shibelong, making sure that they do not get caught out, because Cenarius has shown that they're able to find those angles and be very pesky with that Elastic Slingshot. So being a little bit more respectful of that, knowing that they are a little bit behind the 8 ball as well. I think really good CS, though, coming in from Eshin on the Zeri. It does actually have an item advantage at this point with the Berserker Greaves and the Noon Quiver. Does mean that they're going to be a little bit delayed on their mythic item, but overall, I think it's very, very important to be able to get that extra movement speed on your Zeri and make sure that you don't get caught out by any of the shenanigans that LTK could potentially try to go for. Beyond that, though, Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, and there's a lot of minions pushing into NEU's bottom side tower.
Yeah, going to be probably cleared out before the Drake comes in, but we'll see if they're going to be able to get the wave pushing back toward the LTK before the Drake actually comes up. Although it looks like Tau Benzite wants to go towards the top side instead, stealing away some Krugs, it appears right now. So going to just be trading some of the bot side pressure. And if Northeastern can survive this bot lane dive attempt, then they're going to be in pretty good shape. Going to get a lot of gold on the top side in exchange for this Drake.
All right, as the Shelly's going to come in, Hextech Ultimatum is going to be dropped in on the Ultimate Cars. And Cars, oh, not able to get out of turret range, will die. That's going to be a 1-for-1. Cars did get a lot of that turret plate gold. And with Tau Benzite there, they're going to be able to get a lot of damage in onto that tower. They're not going to take it down, though. They're going to let the turret kind of take away some of those minions. And So no first tower going down, but Shibulon gonna be in trouble here, gonna get hit by the zap, gonna be hit by the knockup, gonna be hit by everything, gonna be forced to flash, as the flash is gonna come in for Zenarius as well. Kaboom goes the dynamite, Polaris finding the Super Mega Death Rocket.
That flash probably saved Etchin's life there. Shaboom going for a little bit of a vision play there. Although Etchin could die yet, Teleport going to come in to try to save her.
Not going to be able to do it, and now Intruder's going to come in. Ultimate Cars is there. The Event Horizon is going to land on the multiple members. Mouse is low. She is extremely close to going down, and she will die. The Vault Breaker is going to be ready for the Vi, and Talbenzai comes in, and LTK are looking to win this fight out in earnest. Ultimate Cars does not have Ghost still available. It is now gone. Ultimate Cars trying to be able to get it. Flasher trying to get some Ghost, trying to be able to get some movement speed. Will be able to take down Cenarius. And now we've got Talbenzai trying to finish the job on the Love You More. Not going to be able to do so, but a good response from NAU.
I think they're able to win out on the kills there. The gold lead expanding to about 1.5k. I think that Northeastern going to feel good about their response there. But the initial play from License to Kill also works out pretty effectively. They were able to pick up a Drake, and they end up being in a decent spot. They're still trying to scale up. It's particularly good for them that Polaris was the one that was able to pick up 2 of those kills. So getting the gold onto the carry, that's what they want to see. First item now complete on that Kraken Slayer. So going to be in a good spot here for the next little while. And Duckwin, opportunity to get a little bit of gold in the top lane as well, just collecting. But Northeastern, good job there of responding and getting some kills onto themselves. We can see the individual gold. Man, that's a massive gap in the jungle right now. Talbenzite doing a fantastic job, and on the back end of that dive in the top lane, getting just a big payday there, probably taking 3 plates solo there, and also getting the kill. And then on the re-engage in the bot lane, Ultimate Cars getting paid pretty big as well. And as we can see, Polaris kind of the one strong spot on the map here for License to Kill. So kind of what we expected for both sides to want here. But that means that Northeastern is a little bit closer to their win condition because they're ahead on so many fronts.
Rift Herald coming up in less than a minute. Ocean Drake is spawning, so neither one of us were correct on our Dragon Slayer predictions once again. You know, Tiger, you've completely lost your magic that you had in the regular season. You're definitely stabilizing down in that 1 in 6 of correctness.
Yeah, at some point you gotta return to the average, but we'll see if there's a play to be had here in the mid lane. Just gonna be enough to get flash. Second Rift Herald gonna be spawning up here, and Northeastern are gonna be right on it. Shaboom coming for the roam towards mid. We'll see if there ends up being a fight. There's actually roam coming through from Love You More as well, so it could be both sides going towards this objective.
It is a 3v4 in favor of LTK right now. Elastic Slingshot's going to come through. Who's going to be able to get it, though? Who gets the Rift Herald? Is it going to be a steal from Cenarius? It doesn't look like it. It does look like the Rift Herald was taken by Ultimate Cars and will be able to pick that one up. Intruder's going to be the target here. Will go golden to be able to survive. And now NEU trying to be able to make this a positive play. Cars is going to be able to get some damage onto Cenarius. A nice Q coming in onto Cars, however. But that's a season assist from Talbenzite to be able to make it a double kill. Mouse not able to land the ultimate. Sad disaster for LTK. Nice Vault Breaker going to finish the job, and it's a quadra kill for this Vi, and NEU just start to collapse this game.
Quadra kill for Talbenzite, 4 for 2 plus the Rift Herald. Northeastern now going to be up 2.5k gold. Gonna drop a little bit here as Polaris gonna be able to take this bot lane tower. But I think that Northeastern is doing a steady progression. Wow, 2 items already complete for Talbenzite. That's going to be difficult to deal with. And I really like the choice here, going for the Radiant Virtue. It shows respect for the fact that they want to be able to sustain throughout fights. They want to be able to keep all of the team members alive for Northeastern to prevent those early resets from coming through for Polaris, because Polaris really still can 1v5 the fights if the conditions are right. But License to Kill falling behind are going to have to cede some control here over the third Drake of the game. Going to be plenty of time left to find winning fights, and this doesn't have to be it, so that's a fine decision. But Northeastern making steady gains towards where they want to go.
Yeah, throughout that entire exchange there at Drake, the vision control was there for LTK. They knew that 4 members of the squad were in the area. Cars going into the top lane, being able to, or in the mid lane, dropping Shelly, getting that mid-tier 1 tower to go down, deciding not to go to pull the trigger on a play that could have potentially cost them the entire game, instead deciding to just put some pressure on the top lane. Duckwind able to pick up that top tier 1 tower and start to get some gold back into LTK's pocket.
That was a strange teleport. I mean, Baron's coming up in 2.5 minutes. It's not like there's going to be a lot of pressure from Northeastern to take a 20-minute Baron here, but I don't think that there was much gained off of that teleport, so really strange to see that coming through from Duckwind. Hopefully not going to get punished too hard, but definitely something that you have to keep your mind on here. It looks like the 5-man mid play might be the call here, trying to pick up that last tier 1, but they just kind of stood around here for about 20 seconds and not done very much on the map at all, and that's time that they could have been gathering resources with. That's going to be just a slight advantages picked up towards Northeastern, and that's just one moment that I'm seeing this in. It's not like this has been a theme throughout the game that I can tell, but that always feels really bad whenever you're just standing around not doing anything for quite a while, and we'll see if that's going to help them set up into anything or if that's just time lost.
Yeah, I mean, NAU is also playing relatively methodically as well. We're not really seeing any sort of aggressive pushes. If you look at champion control, it's all near or close to their side of the rift. Your most aggressive player right now is Ultimate Cars. Does have that teleport, does have that ghost, and knows that Duckwind is there as well. Essentially make it a 1v1, but when you have your Rift Maker pre-18 minutes, when you're close to being able to get that Nashor's Tooth at around the 20-minute mark, you're definitely feeling good here, and know that the game is lost by being just a little bit too aggressive before you know that you're going to win every team fight.
Yeah, just trying to farm it up here and get a little bit of extra advantages by making sure to last hit all the minions. But right now it's kind of stagnated at about 2,000 gold lead for Northeastern, so not the worst situation for License to Kill. They've still got their win conditions. Even within team fights, they could come out on top. We'll see if they're going to be able to find a pick here.
Yeah, Cars in trouble. Nice utilization of the Hollowed Mist is going to be able to deal a ton of damage onto Duckwind as they turn this around. How Benzite, with that 6-0 stat line, is going to be able to pick up 1, make it 2 kills for NEU as they use Cars as the best bait possible to pick up 2 and get the power play.
One of the biggest abilities that Hallowed Mist can block here is the Polymorph. So actually in that fight, it made a big difference just popping that preemptively, making sure that there's no opportunity to get put into that Polymorph. And that meant that there was not enough damage, not enough CC chain to finish off that kill for License to Kill. And that means that they end up chasing too deep, end up losing 2 members, and the Baron goes over as well. So Northeastern finally able to get that gold lead even further ahead. And now they have more pressure on the map. We'll see how they can utilize this Baron, but I'd like to see a 1-4 from them. This is their opportunity to get into that late game sort of phase and put themselves in a position where Ultimate Cars has free reign to start pushing up the side lanes, try to take as many towers as possible with this buff.
Right, and I don't, with considering how safe NEU has been playing, I don't know if this is like an end angle for them, and it doesn't really look like they're looking to be able to do that either. It maybe is going to be that Ocean Soul that's going to be their win condition. It spawns in 36 seconds, and they are posturing towards it. LTK is going to be given a little bit of wiggle room here, and I don't necessarily disagree with this decision for NEU because they know that, the longer that the game goes on, the more powerful Intruder and Ultimate Cars and even Eshin are going to be able to become on these champions. And it allows for Tembenzite to be the one that still runs the Rift right now. 7-0 and 3 on this Divide. But we are going to get the play coming in onto Shibulong, who's going to be taken down. That's a nice Event Horizon coming in from Intruder, though. Going to be able to get a lot of stuns coming out, as we do get a little bit of damage coming in from Tembenzite. Duckwind's going to be coming through. That's going to be the cease and desist onto Duckwind. Polaris is going to be able to take down Intruder, and LTK is going to be winning out on this battle so far. Ultimate Cars coming in with that needlework, though. Ultimate Cars going to be able to take down one. This is a potential multi-kill situation for Ultimate Cars. That's a triple kill for this Gwen, making a quadra kill. Could it potentially get the penta? Duckwind is pretty difficult to catch, but overall, that is a 4 for 4, and LTK, I think, is still happy with that outcome.
4 for 4 and going to be able to take away all of those Baron buffs and shut that one down. Only a minute left that they could have been utilized anyways. And they do keep it on the key member, so Northeastern not feeling the worst end of it because they're going to be able to have those empowered split pushes. But getting the 4 for 4 as an even trade, that's a pretty good deal for License to Kill. Not sponsored by Wendy's, by the way, but I think that License to Kill getting the most value in that play just because Polaris was able to pop off so hard.
Okay, Tiger, that's your first strike, of the week. That was not funny. Not funny at all. It was
Fair.
It was
Unoriginal.
Okay, let's get back to the game, though. Ultimate Cars still hasn't backed yet. Is actually going to end up feeding a lot of gold over to LTK, but Intruder's going to be able to take down Polaris, and the rest of NEU is there. Intruder going to be able to pick up a double kill here on this Vigar. NEU does get to reset and pick up some gold, and holy crap, that is a just immediate buy on a Rabadon's death cap to make it a 3-item Gwen.
Yeah, definitely feeling pretty strong at this point in the game. 7 stacks on the Medjais. Even after dying, still going to be able to continue stacking that one up. And could end up turning that one into a, well, it's a Dark Seal now, but could be a Medjais later, I should say. But at the same time, the big play there is that Northeastern, with the 2 kills, are able to turn it into a Drake. 5 minutes on the big fight of the game. I think that with Ocean Soul, it would just become impossible to kill off the key members here from Northeastern. I talked about wanting to see them play their comp out pretty defensively, make sure that they counteract the early engage in plays. But at this point, I mean, they're just looking to bait out the engage and then let Ultimate Cars just go wild in the fight. So they don't need to focus so much on the defensive aspects. And with the Ocean Soul, that would become even more the case. It would just become nearly impossible to deal with Ultimate Cars because the damage is just too far behind unless Polaris can get the damage down. But you can't do that through the Howl of Mist.
Yeah, I mean, 483 AP right now on Ultimate Cars is pretty incredible. At 24 minutes into the game, you're going to be dealing an excessive amount of damage, especially thanks to that Rabadon's death cap. It's going to be extremely difficult for any member of LTK to be able to go into a 1v1 against them, even under tower. So Duckwind knows that they are definitely on the back foot there. Can't commit to anything that is going to be too risky. But a 4v4 with Ultimate Cars out of it does maybe give LTK the confidence to go for a play here at Baron. Minute remaining until that spawns, and so they are going to be able to get some river control. And it does look like they are going to be able to keep some of that warding that they were able to get near the blue buff and that Tri-Brush. So not too bad of a situation for LTK, as you were talking about. Being able to stabilize a little bit with getting the shutdown means that they're still within 5,000. It's definitely a reasonable assumption or a reasonable statement to say that LTK can win out in these fights, especially if they can get there before Ultimate Cars arrives with that TP and starts to deal the damage.
Yeah, it gets a little tougher here because now there's multiple members that you have to make sure to keep off the Jinx, and there's not a whole lot of disengage tools. There's just kind of the Lulu. Everything else that has disengage is a little bit more conditional and hard to set up. But as we can see here with the gold differentials, 4,000 in the jungle in favor of Tau Benzite is the number that sticks out, but almost 4,000 in the bot lane for Polaris as well. So we can really see where the battle lines are going to be drawn. It's going to be the top side of Northeastern versus the bottom side of License to Kill. Who can carry harder? Who can make the plays? We're going to have the biggest fights of the game coming up here shortly.
Now, Benzai going to get hit by a little bit of damage. That is going to be Let's Bounce from Cenarius. Not going to get too much value out of that one, unfortunately. Oh, that's a tough field goal there. And now Ultimate Cars. Oh my god. I was just telling Duckwind not to go for a fight that they can't win, and they get obliterated thanks to that Q damage.
Ultimate Cars making a whole rift there, and with that healing, going to be able to stack the Conqueror all the way up and just go from about 20% to 50% in no time flat, able to get... Oh, I like this play coming through from License to Kill, though. Look at the mid lane. They're going to be pushing for the inhib. We'll see if the steal can come through as well.
Yo, almost getting it. Cenarius going to try to make it happen, but no, will end up going down. But it is going to be Inhibitor falling in the mid lane there. License to Kill, at least showing some teeth. Going to be able to get that mid lane Inhibitor down. Baron is going to be up in a minute. Meanwhile, Ultimate Cars there with no one to stop them was able to pick up the bottom lane Inhibitor, which is arguably, going to be a little bit, which is arguably as important here when you're going up against Dragon with Dragon Soul spawning. It's going to be Tau Benzite trying to be able to pick up that inner tower, unable to get it though. Tau Benzite actually flashing away from Duckwind for overstaying on the top side. So a lot of resources going to be taken away from NEU that they're not going to have available moving into this dragon fight. But considering that they have Baron, that's going to be pretty good. Speaking of, oh my god, did you see how quick that health bar went down? Did you see that?
That needlework, and it's going to be able to set up the play. And I think that Polaris is going to just about be late to Drake here, so it could be very difficult for License to Kill to get in the area. Even with the super minions in the mid lane, they haven't been able to establish the push, and that means that push in both mid and bot is going in favor of Northeastern. They've got the Baron empowered minions starting to threaten on towards the base. There's got to be a fight here because the Drake is going to go down.
Needlework not available for Ultimate Cars, but he is able to get a lot of that damage coming in. A nice spear is going to come through from Mouse, but Intruder is going to be able to finish the job under the Zac. Cenarius is now down, and it is NEU with the advantage and the Dragon Soul and the chance to potentially close this game.
Yeah, they're in a really good position now, up 7,000 gold. Ultimate Cars just too strong, already almost full build, 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. Going to be trying to finish off the towers now. And with 2 inhibitors down in their favor, with the Baron buff for another minute, they can wait for the next wave to come in and try to finish off the game.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to be able to do it, though. It is still a 5v4. Cenarius is back in about 5 seconds. And let's see how NEU does decide to close this one out. I don't know if there's really much of an angle for LTK to come back from this one, but they do have the chance to still defend. Their Nexus towers are still intact, still at 100 HP, and NEU not, I don't know, maybe either not confident or rather, just wanting to make sure that they're going to be able to confirm the win, deciding to go to the top side of the Rift and pick up that last inhibitor tower and inhibitor before moving in for a close. If they are able to get it, that would mean that they do pick up double super minions in all lanes if it even gets to that point. Ultimate Cars, however, going to be going into the side and will be able to pick up 1 tower down immediately. Cars going to be able to get away from the ultimate slingshot. The needlework is there, and the needlework will take down Cenarius. It's now NEU in a 5v4 power play. Duckwind going to be forced back away. Cars able to avoid the polymorph from Love You More, and NEU are just 1 step away from being able to end this game and make it match point. Intruder coming in without a Event Horizon. Polaris going to go golden. That's going to be 1 down. Cenarius is still dead. She Belong is still dead. Intruder is unstoppable. And it's going to end up being NAU finishing the job here. Padding the stat line a little bit more. but it is going to be NAU taking the game 1.
Nicely done there, able to neutralize the carry threat of Polaris just by having too much damage of their own. Ultimate Cars really... Oh, I'm way close
You
now.
are like, my God, a Tiger, step back.
My way back up, but that was an exciting one. I really enjoyed Ultimate Cars popping off there. Tau Benzite probably was the top performer, but it was just fun to watch all of those needles going down, popping the bubble there in the end, the battle bubble, which is the Zac, and that ends up making the difference in the game. Going to be Northeastern going up 1-0 here, and well deserved. I think they definitely showed the strengths of having all of their team synergy working together, having the experience playing together. They were just a little bit quicker on the macro plays, and they had the key moments go in their favor. So I think that while License to Kill showed some good stuff going down in the early game, they just weren't able to keep pace. And that kind of forces them into a situation where going into the next game, they either have to hard commit to winning the early game, or they need to make some adjustments in their teamwork to be able to match up on the macro.
And it is a really high challenge there for LTK. They've got, a really tough situation moving into this one, but it is not over yet. It is a best of 3 for a reason, and there is still an opportunity for them to bounce back and take it to a game 3. We have seen game 3s almost every single match that has been on stream, and I expect that trend to continue as we move further into the postseason. But for now, it's going to be LTK that are going to try to make that happen. Or will NAU be able to take the 2-0 victory here? We're going to find out very shortly. We'll jump into that draft here in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Tell me, where do I go? Tell me, where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, blood stains washing underneath the waves.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Marauders League with Game 2 between License to Kill and Northeastern University. We've got ourselves a Game 2 situation where LTK must win in order to keep their tournament lives alive. We've got NAU, though, going to be on the red side here for Game 2, banning out the Zac, banning out the Lulu, so we're going to be forced to see a different look from LTK here.
I definitely like the Zac ban. Lulu's also a pretty strong champion, so that's fine. Gonna be changing it up a lot from what we saw in the game 1 bans though, so really interested to see how that's going to change up the draft. Still a lot of high priority AD carries available. Wouldn't be surprised to see that early on. Could see your favorite champion in the Wukong coming up
Love
here.
it.
I think that's a pretty prized jungler. Although I know that we talked about Jason Arias also playing things like the Karthus, so could be waiting until later in the draft to try to see if you can get some good angles for those more carry-oriented junglers.
And I think pretty understandable pick as well for LTK, going to be going with the Jinx. I think Polaris performed as well as they could, especially being able to get that solo kill there in the bottom lane and being able to pick up a couple of just kills here and there throughout the fight was, I think, the richest person on the Rift for LTK as well, with a significant advantage against their opponent, which definitely goes to show that, they do at least still have some fight in them, especially in the stable lanes, which, in this case is going to be that bottom lane. NEU is going to be going with the Zeri Karma, which the Karma assuming going to be going into the support role here. Thresh hovered and selected for LTK. Bit of an interesting choice. I haven't seen a lot of Jinx Thresh here in Season 13, but I know that it has been rising up in prominence.
I think that Thresh is essentially the next pick when you can't get Lulu. It seems like in a lot of cases, a lot of the combinations that work well with Thresh are the same ones that work well with Lulu. So with the success we saw last game, it's not a surprise to me that we'll see those two champions being picked similarly to each other. I like the Cho'Gath as the top lane answer. Last time around, trying to go for the Camille, more of the carry focused champion, and it wasn't like Duckwind had that bad of a game, but just ended up getting outclassed by Ultimate Cars on the carry focused top laners. So this time I'm going to be pivoting, going more towards trying to play towards the team, trying to frontline for Polaris's Jinx. And we'll see if that's going to be the difference-making exchange here in the first half of the draft. If we're going to see License to Kill be able to set themselves up with the right adjustments to get into that late game stage and allow the pop-off to come through for Polaris.
Yeah, and I think for LTK right now as well, trying to ban out some of those top lane champions that could be a problem against the Cho'Gath. Car's not going to be playing as that Gwen again. We saw how powerful that Gwen could be when it was on point and not going to be available here. NEU now has the unique opportunity to ban out the 3 most played champions that we've seen from Cenarius, at least in their OP.GG. With the Karthus getting banned out, I think that was an easy prediction there. And a bit of a I do want to say a bit of a misplay, I think, from LTK, knowing that you are going to be playing having a jungler on your lineup that maybe, doesn't have that same level of cohesion. You want to be playing I would think that you'd want to be playing a champion that they're going to be very comfortable with. And I think that, Kayn and Karthus does have the opportunity to pop off. Maybe that is not the read. Maybe that's not the call that they are trying to go for. Maybe they think, or maybe also Cenarius has other champions that I just don't see on the OP.GG that they could utilize here. But the Karthus and the Kayn are going to get banned away. The Veigar is going to be hovered here for NAU. That is going to be the blind mid lane pick, which will mean that we're going to be getting an R5 top laner, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that the Cho'Gath is flexible, that makes sense to me. Could have
Fair.
also picked the Gwen on R3 if you thought that Cho'Gath was for sure top. I think that would have been the best play. But a lot of similarities this time around to what we saw in the last game draft from Northeastern. Still sticking with that Vi, Veigar, and Zeri. Going to be a little bit of a different look, though, coming out from License to Kill. going to be playing a beefier front line this time around. So maybe it would have been a worse situation to be the Gwen anyways. Particularly if you're against something like a Rammus, that is often the case. So I like that shift here as a champion that's similar in some ways to Zac, but probably better at dealing with 1v9 carry style champions like we saw be such a problem for them in the last game.
You know, I was looking at their profile. I saw the Rammus there a couple of times, and I completely forgot about it. You know, Rammus just plays out. Rammus, is it Rammus or is it Ramus?
Rammus is usually
Rammus?
what I go with.
Ra-
We know what you're talking about.
Armadillo played here for LTK, and NAU is going to be picking up the Scion to go into the top lane. I will admit that I have not seen a Rammus like, God, it's had to have been years since I've seen a Rammus be played in a competitive League of Legends game. And I'm happy that we get to see it now. I am happy because I can tick that off my list as a champion that I've seen casted in League of Legends here in 2023, but it's definitely an unexpected look. It's not something that you normally go up against every day, even in your ranked play. Like how many times have you played against a Rammus here in your solo queues, Tiger? I assume that it's fairly little.
I mean, I think that he gets about his share of games, which is to say that I see him more often than I see some of the least played champions, but there's 160 champions in the game, so I don't see him more than like once in every 8 or so game. Probably less than that, I guess. So that's a champion that doesn't come up that often. I've tried out some Rammus support. I think that he's a pretty decent counter pick in support. But I definitely think that in a competitive setting, Rammus is one of the better junglers. He's got a lot of similarities to Zac towards him, and he's really good against auto attack focused champions. So since there's a Zeri and a Vi in this game, that's a pretty good situation to be in. And it also probably pushed Ultimate Cars towards this Scion, which is going to be less oppressive, I'd imagine, than the Gwen was. So going to be able to kind of shape the way that the draft goes by picking that, and I really appreciate that. One of the champions that I feel is underrepresented in competitive play.
Fair enough, and I love your diplomatic answer there, Tiger, as well. As we get ourselves started to get into the actual game here, we are about to get into the spectating delay. What do you think the Dragon Rift and Soul is going to be here for game 2?
Oh, well, I haven't been right in a while, so I'll say one that I don't want to see so that I can get something else. I don't want this to be a Mountain Soul game, so I'll pick it just in case. That way I win either way.
Hey, now, you can't be cheating the system. You're cheating the system now, Tiger, and that's... Ooh, you're on thin ice today. Thin ice. First with that Wendy's joke, and now with the Mountain Soul and your reasoning for it. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just being oversensitive today. I don't know. I'm gonna double down with you, Tiger. We're just all Chaos Day. It's gonna be a Mountain Soul and Rift. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee that it's gonna be a Mountain Soul and Rift.
That I don't strike out.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to be jumping into game 2 here between LTK and NAU. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Marauders League. We've got Game 2 now underway between License to Kill and Northeastern University. And while I have you guys all here, remember that this is not the only Aegis-casted league tournament that is available for your pleasure and enjoyment. We've also got the APL, the ACL, the AGL, the ASL, a lot of A's, a lot of L's, and a lot of all other letters coming through. But they are casting all throughout the week League of Legends content for every level of play. It's a ton of fun to be able to go in and just watch and hang out and do all that fun stuff. So if you guys are not up to date, if you guys do not have the follow on the Twitter, if you guys aren't part of the Discord, what are you doing? Join the Discord community. Stay up to date on all of the Aegis content that's out there, because it's a ton of fun.
Maybe I should try to qualify for ASL. I know that they would love my Lux. But we got the
Hold
games
on. Wait a second here, Tiger. You told me since you cast master level players that you are a master level player yourself. How could you cast in the How could you play in the ASL?
Well, that's true, but my rank says that I'm gold 4, so I think that that could mean that I have the skills required to be in the ASL, but already seeing some skills on display here as well. Love to see those thresh hooks connecting. We'll see if the connection rate is going to be high throughout the game or if it just starts out strong in small sample size. But I think that we should be in for some exciting gameplay here.
Okay, yeah, She Belong gonna be forced to flash away. That is early flash once again. LTK's bottom lane was very stable in game 1, Tiger. Polaris was able to come through as we do get a play in the bottom lane. Flash gonna be used by Love You More, and first blood is gonna come through from Love You More against She Belong. It was Ignite and Flash taken away from this Thresh, but 400 gold going into your support's pocket.
Love You More coming up with the early kill once again. We saw the early kill going towards the support last time. That fed into some more good plays coming the direction of both of the members of the bot lane from LTK. That was their strong spot on the map. We'll see if they're going to be able to replicate that again here in game number 2 and maybe get some more advantages elsewhere on the map as well. Try to utilize this Rammus for some early ganks and then maybe get the mid and top lanes into a better position than we saw them in last game.
Right, now that you know that your bottom lane is going to be relatively stable, it means that LTK could have the opportunity to go for those plays in those different lanes like you were talking about. Duckwind might have the opportunity to pop off on this Akali. Speaking of which, we have the Akali going into the top lane and the Cho'Gath for Mouse here in the mid lane. A bit of a different look, but you were talking about it in the... Oh, okay. Sonara's just going to come in and smite that Grump, but... Going back to what I was talking about, you were talking about how, Mouse is going to be relatively safe here in the mid lane on this Cho'Gath.
I do think that the Cho'Gath and the Veigar matchup does tend to favor Cho'Gath. It's hard to set up complete kill pressure because you can always just get disengaged with the cage. But now we're going to have a play around the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, Talbenzite is going to be in trouble, going to get taunted, going to get silenced, going to get knocked up, and will be taken out by Mouse. She's going to be able to pick up their first kill of the game, and is going to mean that Talbenzite is not going to have that very early lead that they had in game 1.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty big difference coming through this time around. With the Rammus pickup, I think that the biggest difference is going to be that the jungle matchup should be favorable to Jason Arias in the 1v1. So already seeing that come through there. Good push being set up by Mumu to get the roam off and be able to get the kill there. No Feast stacks coming through just yet, of course, not level 6s on the solo lanes, but going to be in a good position to be ahead in the mid lane. Maybe get off to the right start that we were talking about looking for in game number 2.
Yeah, and already a 1.2k gold advantage at 5 minutes. That is impressive. If we continue with that trend in 10 minutes, that's going to be a 2,000 gold lead. And, in 15 minutes, it's going to be a 3,500 gold lead. That's not necessarily a bad start here for LTK. Even gold in the EDC role. Polaris and Ishin both at relatively the same amount of gold there, but it's a 600 gold advantage for Love You More on this Thresh, as Mouse is going to come in for a potential play here in the bottom lane. Love You More is going to get slowed, and maybe sniffing that out, NEU is going to survive that bottom lane push.
That actually allows for a pretty big buy here in the tier 2 boots coming through from Love You More. That opens up the possibility of getting some roams out early on. Going to be able to get that extra ability haste as well. We'll see if that ends up turning into this first Drake going the way of License to Kill. Already going to have that strong lead in the gold. Gonna get the vision there with the lantern, so know what's up here with Tau Benzite, but going to just be a free first Drake as the reward for those early kills.
Yeah, and it's a Hextech Drake, so the opportunity for that Mountain Drake is still on the table for the moment. And it will continue to be that way as the Ocean Drake gets picked up, or is going to now be available in about 5 minutes or so. I mean, overall, though, this is working out really well for LTK. Duckwind is in a pretty solid position against Ultimate Cart, who did back up, pick up that Giant's Belt, just trying to get as much health as possible, as quickly as possible. Mouse with that first kill against Tau Benzite is in a decent gold position against Intruder, as we're getting another smite steal from Cenarius. Another Scuttle Crab gonna get taken away by this Ramus here. That's actually impactful. Every single time that Tau Benzite tries to go in for a play, Cenarius is there to make this Vi's life difficult. And it looks like that is going to continue as Duckwind's going to come through, does have level 6 available. That's going to be the rolling charge coming through from Cenarius, but not going to be able to get the taunt on the Tau Benzite. Will be able to force out the Vi, actually stealing the red buff away. What a jungle game coming in from these two players.
Smite steals back and forth. Jason Arias didn't have it because of the smite on the crab. Thought that the push was enough to force Tau Benzite away, but didn't end up being the case. Gonna just be a little bit of a further invade, and the dive coming through in the mid lane. Mau picking up another kill, going on to the Cho'Gath. Gonna be able to pick up the Roa on the next recall, likely, I'd imagine. Oh wait, we got the top lane play.
Yeah, we've got the cease and desist going to land on the Duckwind. Does still have the perfect execution, but Flash was used. Able to get the first hit. Not able to secure the kill for NAU. That means the Duckwind will survive. No ultimates used, or I'm sorry, no Flash is used by Ultimate Cars or Tau Benzite. And that could be the chance to then be able to get the Rift Herald. But importantly enough, Duckwind does survive and has that teleport to be able to come out.
Gonna be able to get back alive, and that's the big play here. And looking for a play bot as well.
What a knock-up and what a death sentence on Eshin. Eshin, though, able to make it a 1-for-1. Oh, my God. Nicely done coming in from Eshin and Shape Long to make sure that Cenarius does not get out of that play. Tau Benzite now going to go for this Rift Herald, and Duckwind is there. Duckwind is there, and the smite is going to come in. Tau Benzite's in trouble. Will pick up the Rift Herald, but Duckwind will pick up the kill.
Both plays, I'd have to imagine, are feeling pretty good for License to Kill. Going to be potentially evened up on the value with the Rift Herald, but I think that trading the kills in the bot lane and getting the enemy AD carry means that the advantage can start popping up here for Polaris. And Moo with a third kill popping off on this Cho'Gath.
Nom 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 nom. No gentleman Cho'Gath, but Mau is feasting. 3-0-0. Intruder not with the game that they want. Not even able to pick up that Rod of Ages. Is going to have to come back empty-handed. That's a big kill there for LTK. It's going to slow down NEU even further. And a completely different LTK than what we saw in Game 1.
I expected Mumu to be building the Roa, but it looks like it may actually just be a Luden's Cho'Gath going for the full AP. Still going to be a pretty tanky frontliner just from all of the feast stacks that are available to pick up. Now looking for another play bot, trying to punish the Sums.
Yeah, Sheeblong does not have flash. A lot of damage and a kill there from Polaris, able to take that one. As Eshin's trying to be able to get some damage in onto Jason Arias, but now Mau Mau is there to make it a 4v2 situation that NEU cannot go up against. It means that LTK is going to continue to add to their kill lead and to their gold lead. Eshin's going to be forced out of the bottom lane. It's going to mean that NEU is now going to have a significant turret plate and gold advantage in every single lane except the top lane, but Ultimate Cars is not playing in a carry role here. So you're definitely feeling really good if you're NAU, or your chances to be able to take it to a game 3, but hold that thought as Mau Mau's going to get targeted by all the damage from Tau Benzite and Intruder, going to be able to get that shutdown, and now the Vault Breaker coming through onto Cenarius, not able to land the Event Horizon. The Vygar will be unable to pick up the Rammus there, but at the end of the day, we do at least get that shutdown.
We'll see if they can get the charge off on the Rift Herald as well. Probably going to be able to get it. It's going to be 2 more plates as well, so stagnating the gold lead at about 2,000, and that means that some of the damage is mitigated, as well as the fact that a lot of this advantage is on Love You More, so that's not going to be the worst situation. I think that going for the second Drake, though, is the good call here for License to Kill. They're on a pretty good pace. Could be about a 22-minute soul if they pick up the next 2 Drakes. And which soul will it be?
It's going to be the Mountain, obviously. Oh, well. I guess we all get what we want. It's a Chemtech Drake coming through as another death sentence lands. She Belong is going to have no way out of this one. And that's going to be Polaris picking up their second kill of the game onto this Karma.
And be able to find another one. And this time it's on to Polaris, so that's going to yield a lot more opportunity to carry through this bot side. But this game, there's all the support needed from the rest of the team as well. We'll see if the roam from Mumu ends up being able to pick up anything. Just half roaming down to make sure that no play is going to pick off the bot lane. And I think that the coordination from License to Kill has greatly improved since last game. So maybe that's just a factor of being ahead and it's easier to operate when you're ahead. But also I think that they're doing a good job of adapting to having an E-sub and putting themselves in a position to come back in the series.
Tau Benzite is going to get stunned, but does avoid the knockup. Cenarius is going to be inside the Event Horizon, but doesn't really care. We'll be able to get out of that as Intruder's going to try to come through, and they're going to try to find the collapse in on to Cenarius there. There's that miscommunication coming out. Love You More dropping that Dark Passage, not going to be able to get that effect. Cenarius will lose their flash.
Rush mains everywhere crying. This is just their experience in life. You just put down the lantern, then see your teammate flash away from it. At least didn't end up dying, so good job by Jason Arias to at least stay alive. We'll see if that persists as there's more fighting to be had in the jungle.
Yep, Cenarius going to be able to see that. Tau Benzite is there. Rift Herald spawning relatively soon, in a couple of minutes, as we do get the play coming in. Nice! Stun onto Duckwind. Tau Benzite with a great Vault Breaker timing. Intruder is in the area as well, so we could potentially get a fight in earnest inside the jungle as a 3v3 could come through. However, not going to be the case. Everyone's going to go back to their lanes. We're going to reset here. Things are going to be fine. Mau Mau going to be able to get the knockup in on an Intruder on the way out of that trade. So both mid laners going to be at about similar AP. Or not similar AP, at similar gold. I think AP is going to slightly favor Intruder here. But at overall, a much better game for LTK like you were talking about.
They are still able to push forward here. They're really looking to stack up towards the soul. That's the current objective on the win condition. Polaris just going in 1v2, trying to find more kills here. And then just about be able to pick some up, but not going to get all the way there.
I'm not sure if Cars dies in this situation. Does get taunted already, so that's the CC that's not going to be available. And yeah, Cars going to be able to get out of that one. It actually might have baited out baited out Duckwind here, and it is going to be a bait onto them. That is not the play that you were looking for. Cenarius will be able to survive using everything to get out, but man, NAU is going to be able to take an easy top lane kill and might be able to take the second Rift Herald as well.
They're going to get punished pretty hard on the opposite side of the map, losing first tower and also a lot of that bot side jungle. But if they can get the Rift Herald, they're at least keeping pace here. We'll see if they can utilize that to pick up a tower of their own. Potentially the mid-tier one would be a good target here. Or if they thought they could get 2 charges in the top lane, that'd be good. But they're going to get engaged on first.
Final Marauder burst on Cenarius, who ends up going down. Rift Herald's going to be taken by Talbenzide, and this is a 4v3 that NEU wants to get out of here. They've already gotten the kill, they've gotten the Rift Herald, they've gotten everything that they wanted. They will avoid the CC, and they will get out scot-free. NEU coming back into this game.
Yeah, and just like that, I mean, it feels a lot more even. Still a lot of gold on the big carries for License to Kill, so shouldn't be feeling too bad, but that play definitely shows that Northeastern have the ability to still come out on top of some plays here. We'll see if that ends up becoming a trend in the future, or if that's just a one-time deal. Rift Herald's going to be pretty big in its value here. If it gets dropped in the mid lane, potentially as the Drake is spawning, it could pick up a tower and also help them pick up the dragon. I think that's probably the best use that they could look for. We'll see if they're going to be able to bring enough members down.
See if they'll be able to do it here. Nice utilization of the ultimate, that unstoppable coming through. 12 seconds remaining until that dragon spawns. I don't want to say that it's a must-take for LTK, but if any of you are able to keep up this positive trend that they've had, it's going to be really difficult for them to be able to come back into this. Intruder's going to be able to get the cleanse out of Cenarius, but will not be able to hit out of the Death Sentence. It's going to be forced flash out of that blast cone, and it's going to get targeted. Polaris will be able to pick up that kill, and LTK are now going to be in a 5v4 advantage. That's going to mean that NEU is going to just give up on going for the dragon. They'll respond by taking the mid-tier 1 tower, and Shelly is going to get escorted to get a headbutt into the tier 2. LTK is not responding to this play just yet, and LTK will pick up the dragon in exchange for NEU being able to get the mid-tier 1 and tier 2 tower.
That Drake took forever to take. It honestly allowed the entire tier 2 to go down just because they weren't able to speedily finish it up. And that means that the gold going the way of Northeastern on that play. However, the Drake stack in WinCon is still being upheld by License to Kill. Now going to have an opportunity to look for that one right around 23 minutes. And if they can pick up a Chemtech soul, then that would be very meaningful on champions like Jinx and Akali.
See if they're going to be able to find this tower, though, here for NEU. LTK is going to come in. Gonna have multiple members inside the river. Gonna have the rolling ball coming in as well, maybe. Go for a play. Nope, going to just set that up. We've got Intruder down there in the bottom lane. Does have that unsealed spellbook available to maybe find a teleport. I don't think that they've used teleport relatively recently, so gonna still have that. But overall, NEU is, I think, fine with the situation that they are in at the moment. They know they're gonna have to fight for this Chemtech Drake, but in that time, you're gonna see NEU pick up the 10th stack on Intruder's Rod of Aegis. Probably going to have the Force of Nature available for ultimate cars. Probably going to be able to pick up that Phantom Dancer or whatever second item Eshin's going to be picking up on that Zeri. So those are some pretty big spikes that I think they're going to be happy about getting.
Yeah, getting to those 2 item spikes going to be valuable. See if there's a fight breaking out here in the top lane. I think that it's difficult to lock down the kill onto an Akali, but Ultimate Cards is at a pretty strong spot in the matchup once you get enough health.
Yes, and now a lot of damage in on Ultimate Cards. The Death Sentence is going to land. He's going to get knocked up. He's going to go back under tower. And Polaris will go and pick up another kill. Going to be on a rampage. Meanwhile, going to be Shiblong and Talbenzite being able to get out of that one. Unfortunately for Ultimate Cars, just going a little too far forward, and that's going to cost him dearly. Also, Eshin's going to be costed dearly as well. Going to get knocked up and is going to be taken out. NEU picking up 2 deaths on their stat record, and LTK will increase their lead and will have a power play.
Going to be looking towards the Baron here pretty quickly on the back end. Going to be about 15 seconds. That means that the respawns are just about going to come through at the same time, but it's going to be difficult to get back out onto the map. They did take a while to take the Drake, but I think that their Baron take should be faster now because it's 2 items on Polaris's Jinx.
Duckwind did not get hit by the stun. Intruder missing that event horizon. We do have Eshin on the way, but it is going to be a minute before they're able to come back into this one. A lot of damage from Intruder, though. Going to be able to get the stun in onto Mau Mau, and Mau Mau is down. Intruder getting the Primordial Burst, and now it's a 5v4 play. Going to be able to get a nice W as well. Going to be able to get damage in onto Polaris, as Polaris is going to be shut down. That's going to be 1 kill, 2 kills for Talbenzite, as Duckwind's going to be able to take down Sheep Along in the back end of this one. It's a double kill for this Akali, but a triple kill for Talbenzite. And NEU are now going to go towards Baron themselves.
A little bit of fratricide coming through for Talbenzite, able to land the kill, buy onto Jinx, and that is the big difference maker in the play. We'll see if Duckwind can 1v3 this. Definitely a pop-off champion on the Akali, but gonna have to work through a Scion, which is a difficult task, and the Smite being available as well.
See if they're going to be able to do it. Eshin's going to be low, going to be forced out of the way. Baron is not going to be taken. And now Talbenzite and Eshin are trying to be able to get out of this one. Ultimate Car is going to be a big, meaty health bar. Nice dodge of that Super Mega Death Rocket. Duckwind is going to be low. Duckwind's going to be slowed and not going to be able to get out of this one just quite yet. Eshin now trying to be able to pick up that kill. Duckwind is low. Duckwind will die. That's going to be Ultimate Cars sacrificing their life for the cause to make it a 1-for-1. Stun is going to land on the Love You More, but they're going to be able to get out of this one. No one's going to take the Baron. Ultimate Cars is going to be down for 30 seconds and does not have teleport to get back for this dragon fight. And this is a very, very scary situation for NEU.
They gotta find a way to get into this Drake pit. They kept the Zeri ultimate available, so good decision by Etchin there not to go for the big pop-off play because it's more important to have that available for the big soul fight.
Okay, Sonari's going to be able to go in, getting a lot of getting a lot of knock-up, but not a lot of damage. The utility is there, but not the follow-up, and now Sonarius is extremely low. Death Sentence whiffs, and that's going to be a long cooldown. With everyone now available, this is a 5v5 situation. Actually going to be a 5v4 situation as Duckwind is extremely late to the party. That's going to be the unstoppable onslaught landing on a Love You More, who's going to be forced to flash out of the event horizon. Sonaris is going to be caught out of position, trying to be able to go in for this play, not able to find it. She Belongs is going to be able to flash away from the feet. Primordial Burst and Eshin will be able to take down Mau Mau. And now Talbenzite going to be able to go up against Duckwind and Love You More. Can Love You More get out of this one? Not going to be able to. The cease and desist will cease the life of Love You More, and NEU are just too coordinated. LTK unable to find the fights, and the plays that they were looking for means that they're going to be able to get this dragon. Duckwind will be able to get the shutdown, though, on to Intruder. So it is still a 4v2, and Duckwind still could maybe go in and find a play. She Belongs is going to be at 1 HP. Duckwind is going to try to be able to pick up maybe something else here. His Ultimate Cars is going to take Polaris out of the fight. The knockup's going to land. Not able to get it, though. Talbenzite is going to be godlike. And NEU finally win the fight.
They're able to pull the trigger at the beginning of the play. Great ultimate coming through from the Ultimate Cars. Going to be able to turn into an ultimate train instead, picking off the... I don't think that the kill came through right away, but being able to force the fight to come out by hitting Love You More. That was all that they needed. They were able to get the first couple kills. They knew going in that Jason Arias was very low from the initial play. Etchin going for the ultimate. And it was well timed. It didn't need to be in the 5v5, just going for the pick onto the enemy jungler. That was enough. And they didn't even need to find the kills onto the targets that they picked. It ended up being a situation where License to Kill felt like they needed to fight for the dragon, but they ended up paying dearly for it. They didn't end up getting the soul. They didn't end up getting anything off of that play. And that means Northeastern now have the gold lead by 2,000, and they're in position where they could come back and win this game.
Yeah, and that is devastating for LTK, who have lost their gold lead. However, they're definitely not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. It's just going to be really difficult. Intruder now with an immense amount of AP, 643, does have the 10 stacks on that Rod of Ages, is now level 14 with the level advantage against Mau Mau. 25 minutes into the game, you have that Rod of Eight, you have that Rabadon's Death Cap as well. You're going to be dealing a decent amount of damage here. But Intruder's going to be collapsed upon, is going to get taunted, will be forced to cleanse, and flash. Flash did absolutely nothing, as Talbenzide's going to get hit by the Death Sentence, will get knocked up as well, as Teleport is going to come through from Ultimate Cars to make this a fight in earnest, as both Teleports are going to come in. It's going to be the TP from Cars first, not able to land the knockoff on the Polaris, though. Polaris is going to be targeted here. Duckwind is going to try to do what they can against Eshin, but not able to do it. Talbenzide is legendary, going to be able to get the knockup on to Polaris. Intruder will pick up that kill, and NEU are going to get another favorable fight.
NEU's front line is just built too different. They're able to tank up all of the damage. Polaris not able to ever find the first kill in the fight. That means no getting excited allowed, and that means that even though Duckwind was able to zone off Etchin and Shiblong, but that's not going to be enough to win the fight. LTK able to commit the rest of the members onto the back line, able to set up the kills, and now 9-2-3 for Talbenzide, going to be in position to carry this game, carry this series for Northeastern University.
Wow, what a late game turnaround. And I was talking about this after game one as well. The team fighting coordination from LTK, unfortunately, just doesn't seem to ultimately be there in this one. It could be a product of having that emergency sub, but overall, it just feels like NEU just has their hand on the pulse of these team fights. They know exactly where they need to go. They find the cease and desists onto the members that matter. And like you said, we're looking at a 9-2 Vi. All 5 members of NEU are going to have Baron. That's going to be dragging up in a minute 43, and now they're looking to potentially close this game out. Mau is going to be caught out of position with all 5 members of NEU there. That means that Eshin's going to be able to pick up another kill, and they're going to be pushing towards that inner tier 2 tower.
Shouldn't have any trouble taking it either with the Baron buff. It's difficult to clear out the waves. Not impossible. You have a Jinx, but that's pretty much your only wave clear, especially with no Cho'Gath alive. So License to Kill gonna have to find a fight here, I'd imagine, to be able to defend her. They're just gonna get pushed off their entire Nexus.
Yeah, the stun's gonna land in onto Cenarius this time. He's gonna be forced out of the game, out of it with that flash. Inhibitor is gonna go down, and NEU are going to continue to push forward, looking to potentially end this game. Cars going to be able to get out of that one, though. The Event Horizon is going to land once again onto Cenarius, and Cars is just there, trying to be that pest. As Duckwind teleports in, or goes into the backline with a massive flank, but unable to get it. The season assist is going to be enough. The play is going to land on the multiple members. Intruder's going to be in trouble. Intruder's going to get hit by the Death Sentence and will go down. Polaris is going to be able to get the shutdown, and the resets could potentially come in. Those resets are there. Ashen's going to be able to take down 1, but it's going to be Jinx now with 2 kills in this fight. Make it 3 kills for LTK, and Talbenzide with the damage. Shiblong going to be able to pick up the kill on a Mau. Ultimate Cars will die, as Talbenzide is not out of this one just yet. It's going to get the taunt on Cenarius. Talbenzide is legendary. Polaris is going to try to keep it alive for LTK and will get the shutdown. Might even get the ace here. It does get the ace with the zap. Polaris with 4 out of the 5 kills and the ace for LTK.
They're trying to push for the base, but that means that they're going to all be dead as the spawn of the 5th Drake comes through. It's a Chemtech Soul opportunity for License to Kill if they can get back out on the map fast enough.
I do think that they will. Cenarius is going to be down for another 9 seconds, but the teleport is going to come in from Mau. They're going to be able to use the Feast to be able to clear that one out. Intruder, Cars, Eshin are all going to be there to potentially contest this one. It's going to be a really tough fight either way for both of these teams.
Yeah, this could be the one that decides the game. Already just ulting to get there is Ultimate Cars. I feel like you could just TP in because this is going to be the big game deciding fight.
I feel like you're going to have to here. Duckwind needs to teleport in as the Death Sentence is going to land. Talbenzide is going to be in this fight, and that's going to be a lot of damage on Cars. Forced to flash, but not going to survive. Will end up going down, and that's going to be big here for LTK. They have the opportunity to potentially get the or the Chemtech Soul and finish the job. Mau is very low though. As Sinards is going to come in, the Static Surge is going to come through from Eshin, going to try to keep
Eshin
that
might
up.
have to carry.
Duckwin's going to be trying to take down Chibalong and Eshin. Will they be able to do it? Eshin's low. Eshin wins out on the brawl and is going to be able to come in. That's 2 kills for this Zeri, and NEU in a 5v4 situation are looking to close this game out. That's a triple for Eshin. Make it the quadra kill, and LTK are going to get ace.
Etchen having such a quiet series, but she comes through when it matters with the quadra at the end of the game. Going to be pushing right towards the Nexus now. 20 seconds on all members. License to Kill going to be pushed out of the game, pushed out of the tournament, as this is going to be Northeastern keeping their hopes and dreams alive of qualifying for playoffs, getting to 1-1 and showing that they're able to come back even through adversity. Tough circumstances here with the early game going pretty favorably for License to Kill, but they end up coming back, making the plays when it counts, and finding the win and advancing with the 2-0 win in game number 2.
Really nicely done coming in from both teams. LTK giving it their all. Unfortunately, will be unable to finish game 2 out in their favor, and they will fall short and will be knocked out of the AML Winter 2023 split. Unfortunate conditions there that resulted in this conclusion, but at the end of the day, I think that they are still pretty happy with their. I actually shouldn't say that. I don't know whether or not they're happy or not, but I'm happy that they gave it their all, and they really gave us a good fight there, especially in that second game. However, for NEU now, they have the opportunity to still make it into playoffs. They will have to win one more game next week to make that happen, though.
They looked pretty solid here today. I definitely could see them advancing, but as you get deeper and deeper in the tournament, the competition just gets tougher and tougher. So gonna definitely still need to upgrade as the tournament progresses if they want to have any hopes of winning throughout the playoffs. But this is a good step for them. They definitely showed that they can win from multiple positions within the game here. And if they can build up off of this, they've still got opportunities to start to approach those upper echelons of the AML.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really exciting. I cannot wait for the postseason to start. We've got one final week of qualifiers that are coming in here in the next are coming in next week. It's gonna be the same time, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST for the final week of those qualifiers. We don't know who we're going to be casting as of yet, but congratulations to all the remaining teams going into the qualifiers. There are going to be multiple teams that are going to be taken out of the fight here this week. And so this is when teams start dropping like flies. So I'm very excited to see who's going to be able to win out on the rest of these remaining games. We're going to have a lot to talk about when we get into games next week. But with that being said, that's going to do it today for the AML this week. On behalf of all the players, the coordinators, the staff here at Aegis Esports, Wookie Monster, our producer, Tiger, and myself, everybody stay safe. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you guys all next time. Take care.